Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we're going to be talking about my top 10 NES rental games. So these were games that either my friends rented or I rented back in the day. They're not all going to be good games, but that doesn't really matter. It's more just the experience of renting them and going over and playing with my friends. These are the ones that I have the most memories of doing that. First off, we have Dick Tracy. And no, it's not really a particularly good game, but it's got a really good idea to it. You play as Dick Tracy, you're going around trying to solve crimes, which sometimes don't feel like they really matter that much, but they do kind of lead to something. Or at least they could lead to something. This was a game that my friend Joey rented a lot. Like a lot. He rented this game. And I don't think we ever figured out what you were supposed to do in it, really. Like I don't think we ever got past the first mission that you have, so like the $20 bill counterfeit crime. But that didn't matter because it was just something that we played until we got sick of it. And we all really loved the movie, so yeah, we tried this one out. And I don't remember being disappointed with it. We just thought it was really hard. Jackel is a top-down kind of run-and-gun shooter. Sort of like Commando, but you're riding around in a tank, or not in a tank, but in a Jeep. And you can throw grenades out of it, and apparently you can only shoot in one direction, which kind of feels a little weird. Anyway, this is a game that I didn't really want to rent. This is one of those times where my brother rented a game, and I just had to go along with it because I was the younger brother, and my opinion didn't really matter that much. But hey, it was a lot of fun playing it. I remember watching my brother play it a lot, and then me trying to play it and trying to do better than he did. It was just one of those sibling rivalry things, which will probably pop up on another game that's on this list as well. Jackel's a lot of fun to play. I wish I was better at it, but it is definitely a great game. So I think Rampage is an amazing game. It is incredibly monotonous because you're just basically doing the same thing for about 2 hours, but it is a lot of fun to play. I remember trying this out when I was over at a babysitter's house, and then when I went to go spend the night with my friend Drew, we rented this game, and I had mistakenly thought that it was Godzilla and King Kong, when in reality it's just a gorilla named George, and I think she's an iguana named Lizzie. So I got that totally wrong, but I remember playing this game and the two of us having a lot of fun with it. I don't think we beat it, but we came pretty damn close. Okay, so X-Men is, I'm just gonna say it, it's objectively the worst licensed game on the NES. It's really goddamn awful. You can beat it, but I don't know why you would want to. Because you just kind of subject yourself and someone else to just horrible, horrible sadness. Anyway, we rented this game because the X-Men cartoon had come out, so we were all really getting big into X-Men. This was another one that my friend Joey rented. I remember we had a lot of fun with it until we turned it off and ran away from this stupid thing. Yeah, my opinion of this now is way different than it was back in the day. I'm not sure how many people remember Monster in My Pocket, but this was a fun little set of non-posable figures that were kind of like Muscle Men, but were more Hollywood monsters and some other stuff that really wasn't too much of a monster. I remember this came out like while we were collecting the figures, or around the time that we were collecting the figures. And my friend Joey again rented this. He's going to pop up a lot. And we had a lot of fun playing it once we kind of figured out the controls and everything. Because like a lot of other rental titles, you just kind of had to hope that it had the manual in there, and then you had to hope that the manual was readable. Because sometimes they just sort of get messed up, or people draw on them, or pages get ripped out, and stuff doesn't quite, work out the way you would expect it would. But Monster in My Pocket is a great game. I've talked about Iron Tank before. This is one of the games that my brother rented, and I don't remember why he rented it. But that I could say that with everything. I would have to go back and ask him why he decided to rent it. It is a lot of fun. I remember having more fun with this than Jackel. Not that it's a better game than Jackel, but it is one of the games that I just really enjoyed. It can be frustrating as all hell because you don't quite have all of the controls. They're not optimized for the NES controller, but it is still a lot of fun to play. I thought about lumping Friday the 13th in with the next game on this list because they kind of have the same story, so I'll probably just talk through the break on this one. Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street were two games that my friend Joey rented again. And I remember I rented Friday the 13th afterwards because I enjoyed that game more than Nightmare on Elm Street. But it was just a lot of fun to try to figure out Friday the 13th and just wonder what we were supposed to do, how we were supposed to do it. And it was one of those games that we didn't want to stop playing it because we were having fun, even though the game was just frustrating as all hell for a couple of I think we were 7 or 8 at the time when we played this. So, yeah, we were not exactly equipped to play that game at all. And Nightmare on Elm Street was the other game that Joey rented that weekend. I remember that specifically. He rented these two games because we were still too young to watch the movies at that point. Or at least we were young enough where watching the movies would have been a problem. And he rented these two games, and we spent a Saturday trying to understand what we were supposed to do on Friday the 13th. And then we went over to Nightmare on Elm Street, and we were just as confused, but for totally different reasons. I don't think we ever tried to do it 2-player, but I could just be remembering things wrong. My brother and I rented Contra a lot, to the point where we probably should have just asked for it for Christmas or one of our birthdays. But this was a game we rented all the time. It was always something else and Contra. So I guess I don't know, my brother probably said that I wanted to rent Contra, and then he would rent another game that he wanted to rent. But it was always Iron Tank and Contra, or Jackel and Contra, or Tiger Heli and Contra. It was always paired with something else, because once we figured out what the 30 life code was, which was pretty much immediate, we had so much fun playing this thing. And yeah, we played through it so many times. We were never good enough to beat it without the 30 life code, but it was still a lot of fun to play through the game. And, I have a lot of memories of playing it with him. The last game on here is Metroid. This is one of those games that you would rent, and then you would just get incredibly confused by, because you weren't really sure what you were supposed to do, unless you had another friend who had played the game before, or you had Nintendo Power. We didn't have Nintendo Power, and I don't ever remember having a friend who rented Metroid and played through the game. We had a couple of neighbors who had played through it, but I don't really ever remember them helping us with it. We were kind of on our own, and yeah, I think we spent a few weekends trying to figure out what was going on, and then I would just go back to Zelda, and he would kind of forget about the game as well. So those were just a few of the games that we had rented growing up, and those are the ones that I have the most memories of, and probably the best memories of. Even Metroid at the end, where I was a little down on Metroid. It's still a great game. I remember playing it a lot because we had this old CRT TV, and we had to have it in the laundry room because it was so old that we had to have all the lights off in order to see it, to see what was going on. So I remember playing that in this dark room with my brother, and occasionally my mom would have to come in there and do laundry, so we would have the laundry machine or the dryer running. And yeah, it just added to some of the creepiness of the game. These rental memories are something that I kind of miss in some ways, but once you got to PS1 and PS2 and the other systems like N64, Dreamcast, it didn't make as much sense to rent games because you had the memory cards and you just sort of had to hope that you would get the game again. And yeah, so these days are probably never going to come back, but I have some great memories from that time. So that's going to wrap things up, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and let me know some of your rental memories. Talk to you later. Bye.